Hi, Maycee. Hey, so I'm just going to walk you through this visually here. I've sent you an email already. So here's the message that you sent to me. Uh, let's just see. Yeah, we'll just replace this one. Okay, so here's your spreadsheet. I'm just going to open this up here. Try to do this quickly because I've already typed out all this info for you. So I'm going to enable the content. Okay. And now there's a couple ways you can get to that, your macro. You can right click here and you can choose to view code. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to press the Alt key on your keyboard and then press the F11 key and it'll take you to this as well. So at the very top on the left hand side, you can see that you've got a module. It's called Get Grades and here's your code. Okay. And that's good. So this is where we enter our code. This is the name of the module that you've inserted. Okay. Here's the actual name of the function. Okay. So this is the function and this is the name of the module. Okay. So they're two different things. They don't need to match up. In fact, they should not match up. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to come up to the top because this is the way you have it set up here from here to here is going to create some problems. So I'm going to insert a module and now you can see that I've got a default module name here of module 1. I'm going to take your get grades that you typed out already. I'm going to select all of it, copy it, and in module 1 over here, so you can see that I've got module 1 selected, and I know that on the right hand side because that's what's listed up here at the top. And I'm going to paste that code that you have in here. Okay, and then I'm going to get rid of your get grades because that's an issue. So when I right click on that, I can remove get grades. And do you want to export it? No, we don't need to export it. So now I'm just left with this module called module 1 and the function called get grades is listed here on the right. Now the problem with this is that if I go to debug and I compile the VBA project, there's a compile error and it tells you what the problem is. You probably didn't read this, but it says select case without end select. So what that means is you've got select case listed here in the second line, but you don't have the end select. And so you need to be very precise with code. And so now it's balanced. So the function starts at the top and then it ends on the last line. The select case starts on line 2 and it ends on the second to the last line now. So if I go back up to debug and compile, I don't get any compile errors now. So that's one issue. Well, we fixed two issues. One over here on the left-hand side, the name of the actual module. And now on the right-hand side, we've added this information here so we can get a balanced code. So this actually is working code. So if you've looked through my message, there's some issues with your code, but some of it just has to do with your syntax. So this line is an issue, this line is an issue, this line is an issue. So this is kind of like doing a rough draft for your English assignment. So it's not wrong, it's just not what you want. So if you said, I won't, not, can't get to the grocery store today, I understand what you're saying, but grammatically, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. If you wrote that in an essay, your first reaction would be, oh my God, who would ever do that? Well, if you were writing a book about people who may not know how to speak English, that perhaps might be a real thing. So don't get too crazy about that because this is probably the first time you've ever done any coding. So this is just the editing process that we're going to now. We got everything working, and now we just need to make some adjustments. So the first and the second lines are just basically declaring what you're doing. So you're creating a function. The name of it is get grades. You're going to feed it this thing called score, and you could call that anything you want. But it's going to be a number, and you've specified that because you've declared it as a double. That refers to number. Let's just think of that as the word number. Now, how it's going to do that is it's going to do this on a case-by-case basis. And it's going to take that thing that you're feeding it called score. These two things would need to match. That's your variable. So that's going to be the number that's listed in that spreadsheet. And it's going to go through it one step at a time. And whenever it finds a match, it's just going to stop running the program. So if the case is less than 65, they get an F. That seems correct. That's what the professor told you in the instructions. If the case is less than 70, so you've got something else going on here, and you're actually doing math here. So 65-69, things get a little bit weird here. So I would become much more precise. And if we say just less than 70, that way we know that we've got all the scores below 65. Those are going to be Fs, including all negative numbers in the universe. Anything less than 70, which means 69.999 infinity and below, but above anything less than 65. Okay, so you've got those numbers in there now, and that's going to become a D. And now we don't want to do less than 70. We want to do less than 80. And then I'm going to get rid of this stuff over here. So we're going less than 80. And that's going to be a C because anything between 70 and 79.999 should become a C. And anything that's less than 90 is going to be a B. And then anything less than 100 is going to get an A. But the problem is we're going to miss out on the hundreds. So we want to add an equal sign in here. So less than or equal to 100 would get an A. And what I would recommend doing is case is greater than 100. And I'd say for this, because the professor doesn't specify, get grade equals not sure if scores above 100 are permitted. Okay? Oops. And so we've got all this set up here now. The only weird thing would be if somebody earned a negative score, because it's highly unusual to get a negative score. So I'm going to come up here at the top and I'm going to add in one more case. Case is less than 0. I'm just going to say here, get grade equals not sure if scores below 0 are permitted. Okay, so if we get a match of a negative number, it's going to find that right off the bat. So that's the first one, first case. The next case is for any scores above 0 but below 65, those will get an F. And then we're going to go to the next case. The next case is if it's less than 70 but not negative and not below 65, then it's going to get a D. And then so on, and so on, and so on. And greater than 100, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I think we've got all of the possible numeric values in the universe captured here. So any decimal values, any repeating, any infinite decimals, anything like that should be captured here. And if I come up to debug, I compile. That's a good sign. That means that it's probably working. I'm going to close this. What you need to remember here is what the name of your function is, which is getGrades. So now we're back to the, this is your file here, and these are the scores. So the way we implement this is we type the equal sign, and we type first few characters here of your function, and you'll see that it shows up there. The way we accept that is to press the Tab key, and now it's asking you for more information about this Excel, or this function. And it's saying, okay, what do you want me to evaluate? We want you to evaluate what's in column B2 for column C2. Now I'm going to close the parentheses. So it's going to be equals getGrades B2 and press enter. And we're coming up with a 0 here. And probably this is the problem that we came up with in the first place, that I didn't save and reopen this file. So I'm going to save and reopen this file. Somewhere. Probably got a couple of them open too. And I'm going to make sure I got them all closed. Okay, so I'm going to open it back up. And I'm going to try to evaluate this again. And now we have one more issue. So if I come back here and I show you what's happening, you can see that you're getting zeros. And I just looked. And guess what? If I look at your function name here, getGrades, it doesn't match. So this doesn't match this. And so that's why it's coming up with a 0. So if I copy this and I paste this in here, or maybe better yet, I'll just change that, getGrade, and make sure that all the other ones are the exact same spelling. I'm going to save, close, and now let's just delete this, and we'll delete this, and we'll come back here and we'll type in getGrade, and we'll click on cell B2, we'll close it, we'll enter it, and now it's producing your letter grades properly. And then let's test it. Let's give some different scores here, and this helps to test your theory, just to make sure that each of the entries are going to work out properly. So this one, you can see I fat fingered this guy. There's a slash in there, and it came up with value. What happens if I type in 101? And what happens if I type in a negative 21? So all of my cases are kind of working here. So the last one I'm going to try is 89.999999, just to make sure that it comes up with the correct score. So the reason why it shows up with a 90 and it comes up with a B is because of how Excel is set up. So it's displaying a 90 because it's rounding up. But if I increase the decimals, then you can actually see that full cell value there. So this is what gets a little bit weird from a display perspective. So take a look at that, and I think this will help you, kind of get through this whole assignment then. So take a look at that. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, Maycee.